So glad to be home. Yep, nothing homier. Diablo 4. This game, much awaited for many people, also dreaded because of Diablo Immortal and everything wrong with that. This game, not exactly the best. Many people try to defend it, some others just kind of admit all of the flaws. The combat is simple, constantly the same thing. Once you hit level 20, about. The skills, you are going to be stuck with them forever. You only get a limit of about 49 to 50, and they don't add up to too much. It's constantly the same thing from the beginning of the game all the way until the end. And once you unlock this little bastard right here, the key passive and the ultimates, you're done. That is all your leveling experience. Then you get these Paragon boards, which are very, very minuscule upgrades. 5%, 5%, 10%, plus 5 strength. And what does that do? Plus 5 strength doesn't sound too bad, especially when you could get them in bulk. Constantly getting more and more and more. Then there's willpower, strength, all that fun jazz. Until you learn that you have 3,300 armor at this point by the time you hit level 50. And 1 point of strength is 1 point of armor. So, as for the combat, I am level 50, and this is start game area. I'm not able to one-hit kill them. I still do the same damage as I do in the beginning of the game. It is just bigger numbers. That is because the enemies scale with your level. Always. Every quest. Let's check out some of the quests I never done. 53. Huh. That's interesting. I remember picking up some of these a long time ago. A very long time ago. What level am I? 51. They're perfectly 2 levels above me. Then, the strongholds. Also, perfectly 2 levels above me. This goes on for every single area in the entire game, where if they want to make something slightly challenging, they make it 2 levels above you. Just 2 levels. There's no different areas where enemies are harder, even when you reach the depths of hell. They are still the same enemies that you fought from the beginning of the game, all the way to the end. And they have the same health and the same damage. It's just all of your numbers and their numbers are bigger. It is severely lacking in any means of actual content. You can say and argue, oh, the strongholds, they provide content. Oh, the dungeons. These are more akin to chores. They give you upgrades, which should have been probably in the skill trees themselves. This sounds like an ability you would get in late game, but instead, you do a dungeon and you're able to turn a piece of shit into a legendary by putting that on it. Or replace a legendary's ability with it. This goes on for every single dungeon, every single quest. 90% of it is just chores. And if you're wondering why that said level 70, that is a capstone dungeon, which are only unlocked after you beat the entire game. And at that point, there is not much purpose to getting it. Okay, I beat the game. Let's do the dungeon and get even better gear. What is the point of having said gear? To do other capstone dungeons faster and get the same gear? Maybe level up and fight Uber Lilith, right? That's basically the end of everything. Once you take down Uber Lilith, that is the final challenge. And it doesn't even have rewards anymore due to I believe, a bug with the Uber Unique drops. I'm not too knowledgeable on any of this. I'm just giving my 2 cents on this game and everything about it. I have played and beaten it. I'm level 50. I have participated in some of the endgame, including the Sacred Dungeons. I don't claim to be perfect and know everything about it. I would point to both Asmongold and Ackman in those 2 departments. This game, it's just chores. It gets to the point where it takes me so long to kill these trash mobs that it's not worth doing. The only time you would ever stop, ever moving, is here, in the middle of an event. Just so that you could get a few extra rewards, a tiny bit of extra gold, maybe a small smidgen of experience. But all in all, it doesn't amount to too much. The main content is the story. Even though in all the promotional things, all their interviews, all their trailers, they showed and said how much there will be to do. It's all pointless, go here, do this, with almost no story or purpose. The main story, however, is amazing. They have wonderful graphics, as you can see. I'm running this on maximum on the 4070, so don't expect a slouch to be able to pull off this level of quality. And on top of all of that, the story, I think I said the story is amazing. On top of all that, the graphics are wonderful. Even when you zoom in on the character, which is really poorly done, if I can remember the controls. The zoom. Why would you ever zoom to see this? It doesn't let you inspect anything closer except for your head and backside. And when you zoomed out, it isn't even that far. Compared to the previous Diablo games, this is nothing. Compared to Lost Ark, this is nothing. Compared to everything, this is rather awful. And some people are going to say about, oh, you're playing Barbarian. That's why. I have tried Druid, and I have played extensively with someone who played Sorcerer and also Necromancer. Their experience is the exact same as mine. And the only actual semblance of challenge, once you're past the initial very easy, but albeit very good campaign, is in dungeons, when you are stun-locked and then insta-killed. And capstones, wherever it is. These capstone dungeons, you are randomly one-shot. You are constantly on edge because of an enemy that might not even be on the screen yet. I don't know what Diablo was truly thinking with many of the choices of this game. Even the abilities look very lackluster compared to some of the things in the promotional materials, like the trailers, and the previous games. The spin to win in the previous games looked a little stupid, but quite fun and impactful. This game has no such thing. Impact is very lacking in this game. This is my most impactful skill, and the only reason why is because it has the capacity to one-shot an enemy. And that's only impactful in the terms of damage number. The actual look of it is very, very boring. Very flashy, right? Well, the main thing you'll be noticing and looking at is the floor, because you can't change the angle of the camera, you cannot zoom out or in, unless you're doing this tiny little direct one-to-one into your character. 90% of the time, you'll be looking at the edge of your screen to see if there's something there, staring at your map as you run straight past enemies, fighting with your horse, because anyone who's not on controller has a miserable time controlling it, and just running. You don't even play half of the story. You just run through it. It gets to the point where these enemies are a nuisance because they block your way to the next quest. That is the only reason why anyone ever really fights them. So, we're going to stand here and talk about the actual performance of the game. The performance on a 4070, higher 40 series class, is rather okay. The game runs pretty smooth, but it will devour your VRAM if you have almost anything else open in the background. For lower class cards and certain smaller AMD series, this game will just close itself. It will run like shit. It will stutter. You'll see major performance drops constantly. And some people were not even able to play back when this released, if I'm correct. Some of these, I hope, have been fixed. I haven't heard too much lately on this being an issue. But Blizzard has not exactly been too intelligent with their responses. They have been very lackluster and leaving things to be desired. You need to wait at least 2 weeks for approval for a patch. You would think them saying this, it would be fixed in 2 weeks. But that is not the case. It takes a month or sometimes multiple months until some small issue is finally resolved. I still believe that they have not fixed the issue of a gem storage. Just a single tab where you can stuff 8,000 of these gems into. Because they only get more and more and more from this. I am only level 50. That is halfway through the leveling. And half my inventory is filled with gems. And you can argue, oh, just use the storage. The storage should not be filled 90% with just rocks. And the inventory management. All of the pictures look rather identical. All of the weapon and item slot sizes are all the same. This one-handed sword takes up as much space as a polearm, a two-handed weapon, which also takes up as much space as a tiny, insignificant little amethyst rock. These are just a few things that I can think of, seeing as I'm not really that professional, and I don't have a script. This is all just off the top of my head, what I can think of while I'm walking through this barren wasteland. Transitions from area to area introduce new enemy types. These enemies are different every area, which is good. This is actually something they did right. But when they are a nuisance and aren't even that different to fight, it doesn't stand out. There were polar bears in the last area, and now there's grizzly bears. How different. All of it tends to blend together by the end of your experience, and the only thing you can remember is that Lilith has a rack. That one dude, the angel, spoilers, passed away. And eventually, Lilith also passed away due to your actions as the player. That is the only thing that you can really remember. And the game suffers for it. Because the gameplay is lacking. The camera, the performance, the skills, everything in this game is lacking except for its graphics and story. I know I'm probably repeating myself, but this is all there is to say. I had to play it on World Tier 2 for even remotely a challenge. And then again, it wasn't even that challenging. The only deaths you have in this game are random one-shots from off-screen that you don't dodge. And because you get stun-locked, or feared, or crowd-controlled into something that will kill you. Because you cannot fight back at that point. The skills, I didn't touch up on the skill slots, but they are dramatically disappointing. There are so many different ways you can handle using a controller and having more skills than just 6. Lost Ark is functional with a controller. I personally played Guild Wars, a massive MMO game, with a controller for a while. There are ways to go around this, they just did not care. They try to push how creative you can be with your builds, how creative the character creation can be. All of this to make your individuality and your personal experience fun. But when you actually boot into the game, the character creation is boring. It's lackluster. The only 2 characters that look good are Sorcerer and Barbarian. Because the Druids are all rather hefty and they look like they should just be dwarves. And that's nothing against someone who is big. That's fine. But I'm saying you should have the ability to change the character to the size that you want. I don't want to look like a scrawny crackhead when I play Necromancer. I understand that is a stereotype for Necromancers, to be sickly looking. But what if I wanted to be the Lord of Death? I don't want to look like a barbarian can break me with 2 fingers. And the same can be said for Druid. I do not want to look like a large, rotund man that then turns into a bear. I want to be a buff badass who turns into a werewolf and rips all of his targets to shreds. You cannot do any of those customizations. The only thing you can do is pick from a couple faces, a couple hairstyles, and then you have a few nice choices of hair color. The hair color is honestly the best thing out of all the character creation. And that's saying a lot. The transmog system is also kind of lackluster. I might look pretty badass, but I had to scrap a bunch of good legendaries to get these. And half of them I don't even have. I just wear the default legendary because I can't dismantle it for something else yet. I haven't gotten something with better stats. And some people might think, that's not so bad. That's just the way it is. You know, transmogs can be, it's just a little extra flavor for life. But that quality of life is almost all this game has. I didn't even want to finish this. I received this product for free along with my graphics card. When I bought the 4070, it came along with a code for this game. I was not even remotely thrilled after an hour or 2 of gameplay. I ended up buying this for someone else, and they were disappointed after the endgame. Because at that point, it was just grinding. And it's not interesting grinding. It is chore grinding. It is filling up that bar at the bottom of the screen to get another point onto this board so that you can do the next dungeon. To get more of that bar, to get another point to do the next dungeon. until you can finally take down Lilith again. And then there's nothing after that. You can try to say, oh, but there's world bosses, and there's a ton of dungeons and strongholds. What about the strongholds? Well, the dungeons are boring and don't give you that much reward. Some of them are just annoying. Not even boring. They actively make you hate it because there are enemies that stun lock you, or there are BS mechanics in them. And the world bosses, they're pushovers. With only about 8 to 10 players, and this is supposed to be... They brought it up a lot in the promotional material, that this is supposed to be a more social thing. You're supposed to encounter players and be able to interact with them. There's not even a looking for group button. Sure, there's clans. But I can only imagine how many clans there actually are that interact with too many people. And at that point, you still need to go actively looking for a group within that clan. There's no group finder for dungeons or capstones. There's nothing that pushes you to work with other people. You can solo half of the events flawlessly, because this game is not even that hard until the capstones and Uberlilith. There is no reason or impetus to interact with other players in any means whatsoever. So, final messages about this game. The performance on anything slower than a higher end card is lacking. The game's content is very lacking. The character creation is lacking. The skill trees lacking. The Paragon board overcomplicated and still lacking. The only thing this game has is a story. The story you can just watch on YouTube, or watch your favorite streamer or anyone play it, and you'll still get the same kind of experience as I did playing this myself. It leaves infinite things to be desired. Almost nothing actually feels impactful or that intriguing. There are some times where they'll catch you with the Tree of Whispers and the snake, and they'll sprinkle a little words around and get you a little excited, and then when you actually get there, talk to them, do this, do that, it's the same old since the beginning of the game. There are infinite disappointments in this game, and very, very much finite things that you can say are good. And that's sad. This game is another AAA misfire, and I don't recommend spending the money to play this. Even if you're a Diablo fan, even if you're an ARPG fan, I would not recommend getting this game. I would much more recommend Path of Exile, Wolcen. I would argue that you should play Lost Ark because it's free until you start to get soft-locked by the pay-to-win wall. Even a pay-to-win nightmare is more impactful and interesting than this. And this is a AAA $70 game. It's not the first time Blizzard has made mistakes. It won't be the last time. It won't be the last time another AAA company makes mistakes. Because at this rate, I'm losing a lot of faith, and I'm just looking forward to remakes of the originals. All of these new upcoming games are always pretty much a disappointment. So, don't waste your money. If you're really, really interested, then I'd say it's your choice, go for it. But I wish I could get a refund for this, as I'm never touching this game again. Okay. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. I did not have my VTuber avatar this time, as the program to run it has died horrendously, and I'm still searching and creating an alternative. I am also looking to get a more personalized avatar, one fitting of the Great Mage. But as for now, I've gotten a PC upgrade. There won't be any more stuttery videos if I can help it. I've learned how to properly manage this microphone, so I won't sound like I'm 8 miles away, and the air conditioner in the background sadly will still be here, as I don't have that great of a noise gate, but at least the audio quality and video quality will be dramatically improved in the upcoming videos and streams. I hope everyone enjoyed the video. If you have any hot takes or think I had a hot take, feel free to bring it up in the comments. Do whatever you like, but I'm pretty sure this game is a misfire.